Good afternoon, Southwest Arkansas. Welcome back, Southwest Arkansas weather here. And we are taking one more live look at the update before the winter storm arrives later this evening and through Sunday. Starting off, I just want to go over what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about accumulations, all of that fun stuff. But first off, we're going to go over the warnings and watches, or well, really the warnings that we have in effect right now at this time for our region. Going to go over the latest data behind this, talk about some changes that we have, some accumulation amounts, and some more about the wind speeds and potentially colder, or well, really the colder temperatures that's going to be here through the weekend and through Monday. A few areas are looking at near 90 to 70 hours below freezing for temperatures. So once again, whatever falls, it's going to be here. Right now at this time, we have two different alerts out. We have currently a winter storm warning out for most of the region. That, once again, is just for the heavy mixed precipitation that's expected across the area. And down here in Magnolia, El Dorado, Columbia, and Union counties, you do have an ice storm warning that's just been issued earlier today. These both go in effect from 6 p.m. Through this evening to 6 p.m. Sunday. This is for the chance of significant icing that is expected. Ice accumulations of 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch with an isolated total of near 1 inch possible there with that. So that's a quick look at some of the updates on the current warnings and watches that we have right now across the region. Let's jump into some of this data here and talk briefly about that. Real quick here, we are seeing some changes with this. Remember, we are getting a little closer. Something that we're going to have to watch for is, as this moves in later this evening, probably seeing maybe some rain, maybe some sleet by that 4 or 5 p.m. time frame, but it really starts to kick into gear later on, really as we go into 8 p.m., and I think most of this is probably going to be some sort of freezing rain. I don't really think we kick off with a cold rain across southern Arkansas, although it may be possible. But we start with some freezing rain, some sleet, maybe some snow. One thing to remember throughout this, you're not going to be under the same precipitation type more than likely through the whole event. It's going to change some. And here's some changes that's been ongoing. As we go into tonight, we may actually have an area that may run from Mena to Hot Springs and northward that may be actually in some snowfall, maybe some heavier snow at times too, overnight tonight. If that happens, you may see some heavier snow. You may actually see some snowfall amounts accumulating quickly up there in those regions. The biggest question is that going to be snow or is that going to be sleet? The HRRR model has these purple colors here for the sleet area. You can kind of see that's got that snow line just a little south, but what will happen, you can see as we go forward into that nighttime time frame overnight, that continues to kind of keep that snow line there. But as we go into Saturday, most of that's going to shift back to sleet. And further south, though, we're going to probably continue with some freezing rain through that time frame, or it wouldn't surprise me, freezing rain for the most part across far southern Arkansas, and maybe some sleet mixed in there with that. A little look at the other earlier run of this model to show us kind of the general idea into, you can see there, into Saturday morning, most of that you see that snow line moves back north as that warm air above us keeps coming in. So we will see some sleet, or mainly sleet. Some snow will be possible, I think, in a line overnight tonight from Mena, Hot Springs, northward. Very northern end of our county. There could be snow elsewhere, but it's not going to be the most dominant precipitation type. By Saturday, this will shift back to sleet mainly across pretty much northern portions of the region. Further south, you will have freezing rain ongoing through the most part of this. Now, here's something this is continuing to show. Look at this. Saturday afternoon and evening, it's trying to kind of bring just a little bit of a dry patch in here. That ain't the end of the event. Another round, and you can see that here, starts to move in as we go into Sunday morning. More sleet, maybe some snow as that system pushes out. We've been continuing to talk about that being a good possibility there with that. And taking a look at the European model, you can see that break there with another heavier round freezing rain, some sleet, some snow as this system pushes out on Sunday. We should be done with the accumulation, or well, the falling precipitation by Sunday afternoon and Sunday evening. It's not going to go away though. I fully expect a lot of issues with it trying to melt because we're going to be below freezing for a long period of time with this. So here's our current thoughts. Once again, this can easily change. I really think though we're getting close to what we're going to see. It's all going to depend on how long people stay in that snow across the far northern portions of our region, up there just north of me, or really from line Mena to Hot Springs, Mount Ida to Hot Springs and north. If you're in snow more, that could help cut down on some sleet totals. I think you may have a chance overnight for some snow, but by Saturday, it's probably going to shift back over to sleet and some freezing rain. Highest freezing rain totals are going to be across the Highway 82 corridor, which is from Texarkana, Magnolia, El Dorado, and Bradley down there. That area, 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch of ice will be possible, maybe even up to an inch. I'm not going to rule that out. Elsewhere, from about DeQueen, Nashville, Arkadelphia, and south, I really think you're going to be closer to that 1/2 inch mark. And then further to the north, you're going to be closer in that orange-colored area towards 1/4 of an inch, between 1/4 of an inch up to 1/2 an inch, and then further north of that, 1/10 to 1/4 of an inch of ice, where your main precipitation type up there is going to be mainly some sleet. Freezing rain will be possible with that as well, and some snow. I'm not going to rule out that possibility, but I think 4 to 6 inches of sleet snow will be possible. And when I say that, that's not 6 inches of pure snow. That's not 6 inches of pure sleet. That's a mixture of both. But most of our region will see some sleet and freezing rain. There's the northern end of our counties, if that continues to trend the way it is, may have a brief area of snow that may help make those accumulations a little higher up there in that area. But here's the thing. When you talk about a bunch of sleet, that's going to be hard to get off roadways. That's going to be just pretty much, but that's better for some for power outage risk anyways, because that doesn't necessarily stick to the power lines as much or as what freezing rain does. Although freezing rain will be likely with this as well, some of those sleet totals can cut down in the overall amounts of freezing rain accumulation or ice accumulation. Sorry about that. But once again, just continue to keep a close eye on this. Like we said, fully expecting road issues and some power outages being a good possibility, because when we take another look at this data here, I mean, let me go back to this. I'm just going to pull up the National Weather Service blend of temperatures starting off with. When you look at this, temperature is going to drop. And remember, the National Weather Service blend of models is a pretty good base medium line blend of models. So it kind of gets a good median for what models are showing. And it's got temperatures tonight in the teens and 20s. And then as we go into tomorrow, you're sitting there in the teens and 20s, and we don't get much warmer. Here's 2 p.m. We're in the 20s and teens still on Saturday. There's 4 p.m. That's a good look at what highs can be on Friday, or Saturday, I should say, there, with a overnight low, or well, temperatures in the 20s and teens. And then when you go in the overnight low time frames, you're talking, this is wanting to show teens and 20s again. But watch what happens here on Monday morning. That's 6 a.m. Monday. You're looking at, this is wanting to show single digits in teens. So whatever sticks around, it's not going to go away soon. Monday, still in the 20s at 12 p.m. And that just continues. Here's Tuesday morning, potentially even colder. So once again, it's going to be cold, and I think we may finally get close to being above freezing by Tuesday. It's going to be close, though, for some of us north of I-30, but south of I-30, I think you start to see some of that try to melt off. But that's another thing. Sleet is not it takes a while for it to melt, and if you get it packed down good and hard, it's pretty much just a solid sheet of ice. So once again, I mean, you're still looking at temperatures in the teens, and finally really getting above freezing by the time we get to Wednesday of next week. So let's take a look at what this blend of models is showing for snowfall totals and sleet totals. This combines both snowfall and sleet, if I'm not mistaken, and it pretty much continues the general idea. You can see highest amounts, not necessarily the specific amounts, but the colors continue across northern and northwestern Arkansas. Further south, most of this down here will be sleet that you see south of I-30 and really south of DeQueen, Nashville, Arkadelphia. Most of that will be sleet. Then as you go further here in this, really the area from Little Rock, Hot Springs, Mena, Derricks, Glenwood, that's going to be a mixture of some sleet, some snow there mixed in with that. So that's not all snow that you're seeing there with 5 inches in Mena and that's more of a sleet and snow mix there with that. Total ice accumulations, once again, this National Weather Service blend of models, it's wanting to pick up more on sleet. This is a little lower than what recent data has continued to show, which if we take a look at the newest HRRR, or well, let's take a look at the HRRR because I haven't really had a chance to look at this yet either. It's still wanting to put a big picture on some ice accumulations through this, and that's still with the event ongoing. So that's something that we'll have to watch for. That's on the higher side with those specific numbers. Don't pay necessarily attention to those. Just overall, the snow or the just the gradient that's going to be there. Here's another look at this. This is not the numbers because this is wanting to put 9 inches of snow / sleet mix in Mena. Although depending on if you get some heavier bands, when overnight you could get some higher accumulations. There's going to be a sharp cutoff between who sees a lot of sleet and snow and who sees a lot of freezing rain. That's going to be a big thing to look for, like we mentioned. Don't pay attention necessarily, like I said, to the numbers. This is just pure model data, just really this gradient here that you can see that where you go from a lot of stuff to not a whole lot. That's that snow / sleet. Remember that. That's not, it says snowfall, but this also accounts for sleet there with that as well. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments. Once again, another thing to mention, when wind gust, that's going to continue to be a story with this. You're looking this afternoon and evening, 30, 25 mile per hour wind gusts tonight with ice and snow in some locations across northern Arkansas, sleet on the ground, and you down here in Texarkana and El Dorado, 20 to 15 mile per hour wind gust, or 25 to 15 mile per hour wind gusts with half an inch or greater on the ground. That could make for some very big power outage risk there as well with that. So I just want to make that very clear there as well. Definitely think power outage risk across far southern Arkansas. The Arkansas-Louisiana border is going to be on the high side. And as you go further north, you continue with that power outage risk. Because once you get about a half an inch of ice or higher, that's really high amounts, and it doesn't take much to really cause. It takes about that much to really start causing major issues with stuff of that nature. So when you start getting near 3/4 of an inch to 1 inch, that's pretty high up there on that. Sleet wise, that may not do as bad with power outages, but that will make your roads even worse with that because, like we said, that sleet doesn't like to melt. That packs down and turns into really solid sheet of ice. So once again, you should probably already have your preps done for this week for the cold air and winter weather chances, winter weather that we're getting here starting this evening here in about, I'd say, give or take 4 hours from now. And you should already be prepped for that. As always, if you don't have to get out this weekend, don't try to attempt it. Just let this get through and let us get through this. And as always, this is something we're used to in Arkansas with winter weather, all sorts of weather here in Arkansas. As always, be prepared, not scared, know what to do in case, or have your plans ready for your winter weather stuff. Our local OEMs across and county officials across southwest Arkansas and across Arkansas have been posting those winter weather checklists, stuff of that nature. Make sure you're ready to go for that. Just finish up those plans and just be prepared to see a lot of road issues and stuff of that nature through this weekend, and the possibility of power outages there as well. So if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments below. As always, I do want to say a big thanks to all of our sponsors for making this possible. J&S Auto Supply Bumper to Bumper, Landmark Insurance Agency, Palmer's Roofing, and Patterson's Credit Union. Once again, think we mainly see some freezing rain and some sleet across far southern Arkansas, maybe a few flurries, but I really think the main dominant precip type across far southern Arkansas is going to be freezing rain and sleet. The further south you go, higher sleet or higher freezing rain chances. As you go further north, you kind of start to get more freezing rain, sleet, and when you get up here near the Mount Ida area, Mount Ida Mena area, you may have a chance overnight tonight for some snowfall, and then that transitions tomorrow morning into mainly sleet, and that's going to continue to be the case. I really think our graphics have a good understand, or we got a really good understanding of that general idea. I wanted to split them up today to kind of show you in a better way of what we've been mentioning the past few days. We kept it in one graphic the past couple of days, I should say, there with just keeping all the sleet and the freezing rain accumulations there. Let's see. I'm in Fordyce, Arkansas, and I'm worried. And do you think more counties will be added to the ice storm? If they do, I think it would be across Lafayette and Miller County. I don't think it'll be further north at this time. I think it's going to be further south, really into northern Louisiana, as the higher amounts of ice. Fordyce, I think you still, like we said, could see some sleet out of that, some 2 to 4 inches of sleet, and I think maybe up to a half an inch of ice in that area. We'll see with that. I think right now, though, the highest freezing rain and ice totals are going to remain across that Arkansas-Louisiana border, Highway 82 corridor. For those who know that area, Texarkana, it's the U.S. highway that runs from Texarkana, Magnolia to El Dorado, pretty much across far southern Arkansas because it continues outside of our coverage area. But really, that far southern row of counties has the highest chance for those totals at this time with those freezing rain totals. More central part of our coverage area, like DeQueen, Nashville, Arkadelphia, Sheridan, Fordyce, Hope, just north of Camden, I think you still have the chance for heavy precipitation, but I really think that's going to be mainly sleet through there. Freezing rain will be likely there as well. Remember, there's a very good chance you could get, in a way, all 3 sorts of precipitation types of winter weather at one time. It's how fluid of an atmosphere we have. But for the most part, this isn't going to be a big snowfall event for most of us. Like I said, not ruling out the possibility based off of latest trends. If overnight tonight we could see areas around Mena, Mount Ida, Hot Springs, and north get some snow out of this tonight, but then that precipitation type will shift to mainly sleet there overnight, or well, not overnight, but Saturday, and expect a little bit of a break maybe. I would say break lighter precipitation come about afternoonish Saturday. Another round's going to come in right behind that, so just a heads up on that. Okay, next question. Good afternoon. Thank you. What about the Nashville area? And I see that asking about the timing for Nashville. So Nashville, I really think you're going to be on the area where you see a lot of sleet. Some heavier sleet will be possible there. I think really 2 to 4 inches, maybe some higher, will be a possibility. Maybe some snow flurries. I don't think you see anything major snow-wise. I do think we see some freezing rain in that area, probably closer to a quarter of an inch. And to take a look at timing, I think right now for the Nashville area, I would say probably closer to about 5, 6 p.m. This is going to move in pretty much out of the southwest and west into our region, pretty much right around, I think, there's some differences in the timing on the data, but I think the general idea is by that 4 or 5 p.m. time frame, we start to see that move into our region, and by 6 and 7 p.m., it's really going to be widespread across southwest Arkansas. But once again, if you need to get your stuff, if you can, get your stuff taken care of, here within the next here. You should already have it done, is what I'm getting at, because you don't have much time and you don't want to get caught out in that later on this afternoon and this evening, I should say. There with that is what we're getting at. So hope that helps answering your question. Hope, Arkansas. I think you're going to be closer to that half an inch area on ice totals. I think you could see maybe 2 to 4 inches of sleet mainly. I don't think you see snow. You may see a flurry or two Sunday as the system lifts north, but right now, just don't think it's a great chance for you in Hope. Once again, same general idea as timing. By this evening, really after 4 p.m., you're going to want to be where you're going to want to be at, just to make sure you don't get caught out in that. I really think, once again, 4 or 5 p.m. it starts to enter into southwest Arkansas, and by 6 to 7 p.m. it's going to be across all of. It's going to really be widespread across all of southwest Arkansas. Sorry, I don't know if you can hear that, but I think our precept for Nashville Sunday. Yes, I do think Sunday. Sunday, I think you're going to see some precip on Sunday overnight, really Saturday into Sunday morning. I think it should be gone though by Sunday afternoon. But whatever is here is going to be here for a bit. I think for the most part, though, it's probably going to be some sleet, some freezing rain, and maybe some flurries on the backside of that. And also, I hear that about possibly next week with that. I'm iffy on that still. Let's get through this event first, and we'll talk about that moving forward. We'll see what happens with that. Like we said, there's a lot of things that can change with that. I'm not going to show that on stream yet because I want to get through this event first and let us get a little closer to that one to where we can kind of go over that. But I definitely, based off the overall pattern, we may not be done with our winter weather chances for the near future. We'll see, though. Like I said, that's one of those you got to watch for, because when you're talking that far out, you're kind of looking more statewide, region-wide than you are necessarily specifically southwest Arkansas. But like I said, we'll watch that closely for the future for next week and that. Like I said, right now still too early to really get specific on that. I want to get through this event first before we talk about that one, because there's a lot of things that can change with that one as well, as we're about a week or so away from that time frame. But once again, we're going to be here. We're going to have a lot of updates continuing throughout the day and throughout tomorrow, as long as we can. When I say that, as long as we got power and we're able to post and stuff of that nature, we'll continue to do that through this event and keep you updated. As always, remember, this is winter weather, and this has probably been one of the toughest forecasts that we've had to do, because in a small region of southwest Arkansas, we could have all 3 precip types, and it's heavy precip too. It's not, just a glancing blow. We're going to try our best to continue the updates, and we'll keep you updated. If there's any new changes, we'll let you know, but I think this is going to be our final precipitation map. Like I said, I think we could see some snow, maybe from Mena, Mount Ida, Hot Springs, north. I know that's a very small part of our region. I think they have a chance overnight, once again, to finish this off with an area of snow up there, and then that's going to transition to mainly sleet over Saturday, and like we said, some higher amounts of sleet, and possibly on the snow side there too, up there in Mena, Mount Ida, Hot Springs, and north. Could be a possibility, but higher sleet totals and ice totals will be possible across all of southwest Arkansas. 4 to 6 inches of sleet, some snow mixed in with that is possible, once again, in that dark blue area. And that lighter blue area, 2 to 4 inches of all sleet for the most part down there in freezing rain. And when we take a look at those ice totals, once again, half an inch to three-fourths of an inch will be possible down there in Texarkana, Magnolia, Bradley, El Dorado. Maybe an isolated 1 inch of ice there as well. Near Camden, Hope, Nashville, DeQueen, Arkadelphia, really that south of that region, DeQueen, Nashville, Arkadelphia, DeQueen, Nashville, Arkadelphia southward, down towards Hope and Camden. those areas, Fordyce, Ashdown, Little River County down there, closer to half an inch. As you go further north there, right around DeQueen, Nashville, Arkadelphia, north to Sheridan, Glenwood, Murfreesboro, probably closer to a quarter to, like I said, up to half an inch. Further north, a tenth of an inch to a quarter of an inch there, where you're mainly going to have some sleet up there as well. But I don't think we have any other questions. As always, if there is any, feel free to leave them in the comments through this and ask throughout the day. We will answer them to the best of our abilities, or shoot us a message. We'll be here for you right here at your source for all things Southwest Arkansas weather. I want to say big thanks once again to all of our partners for making this possible. J&S Auto Supply, Bumper to Bumper, Landmark Insurance Agency, Palmer's Roofing, and Patterson's Credit Union in Arkadelphia. Make sure to check them all out. And if you're in need of any of the things that they offer, feel free to contact them. And also, if you need any car supplies before this, try to get out there at J&S Auto Supply, Bumper to Bumper in Murfreesboro today before we get to this weekend. Make sure you're ready and prepared. As always, we'll be here with the latest information. Have a great rest of your Friday. See you later for some more updates. Thank you guys very much for trusting us at your source for all things Southwest Arkansas weather.